Satoru, a single 37-year-old man from Tokyo with a steady job, was invited out by Tamura, a coworker, so that he could introduce him to his fiancée. A random attacker with a knife charged toward Tamura and his fiancée shortly after they had first met on the streets. Satoru steps between them to protect them, but when he does so, he gets stabbed. Satoru notices that his wound is almost certainly fatal as the attacker flees the scene. Satoru keeps hearing a strange voice in his head that is analyzing his thoughts and forming abilities by his current desires while Tamura is pleading for assistance. Satoru concludes by wishing Tamura and his future wife all the best and requesting that he destroy his hard drive so that no one can discover what is stored on it. Satoru is left alone with his thoughts as the world around him fades, and it takes him some time to realize that he is in a different body. He discovers after some testing that he died and was reborn as a slime. The same voice that previously identified itself as his special talent, the Great Sage, who can quickly analyze and process information for him, reappears in his head as he is thinking to himself. It already has a significant amount of knowledge in addition to that. Satoru receives instructions from the Great Sage on how to use his new body and his abilities. Satoru starts soaking up everything interesting he finds inside the cave he is in after realizing that he can essentially devour and store anything inside his slime body. He meets a dragon who just so happens to be imprisoned in the same cave as he is doing this. To properly see his slime, the dragon teaches him to sense magic all around him. The dragon identifies himself as Veldora Tempest, a storm dragon once Satoru can see clearly. Veldora explains how he has been sealed here for 300 years during their conversation. He makes Satoru feel bad. He suggests becoming friends with Veldora because he is aware of how lonely it can be, and the dragon hesitantly agrees. Satoru decides to assist Veldora in escaping the spell of limitless imprisonment that is keeping him in prison. He, therefore, asks the wise man for any suggestions. With the sage's extensive knowledge, the Great Sage offers Veldora a solution to set him free, being devoured by Rimuru's special predator ability to allow the Great Sage to examine the seal from within. Before Satoru devours him, Veldora gives him the name Rimuru because in this world he was just a slime without a name, and instructs him to think of a shared family name. They become Rimuru and Veldora Tempest after Rimuru chooses the name Tempest. The analysis of the endless imprisonment is then started as he eats Veldora. The world experienced a significant tremor as Veldora, a storm dragon, vanished in Blumen's kingdom. To maintain the security of the kingdom, the minister Baron Velyard requests that the Guildmaster Fuse investigate this issue. Fuse decides to send an expedition to investigate it. Weeks went by as Rimuru continued to explore the vast network of caves, eating any dangerous creatures he came across and learning their skills by using predators. He eventually locates the cave's exit, but a huge gate is blocking it. Just as he is attempting to find a way to pass, 3 humans from a small adventuring group walk through the gate as it opens. Rimuru stays hidden until they go deeper inside the cave, at which point he takes the opportunity to escape and emerge in the vast Jura forest. He doesn't travel very far before coming across a group of goblins who have come to him for help after sensing his overwhelming presence. He is introduced to the village elder after being taken to their village, who informs him of the circumstances. Their god reportedly vanished about a month ago, and ever since, numerous vicious monsters have been harassing them. Rimuru feels responsible for the situation because this time exactly matches the moment that he devoured Veldora. The village elder informs Rimuru of the dire wolves that frequently attack them and recently killed their most stalwart warrior, putting the village in danger. The elder offers Rimuru the loyalty of the goblins in exchange for his protection against the dire wolves. The dire wolves howl as they prepare to attack as Rimuru mulls over the predicament. The goblins begin to panic, but Rimuru calms them by promising to grant their wish in place of Veldora, recognizing that the village's real defenses have been destroyed. Before getting the injured goblins organized to build the village fence, Rimuru heals them first. Once night falls, the dire wolves attack, but they are stopped by the goblins' established defenses and Rimuru. The dire wolves' pack leader attacks Rimuru, but he is quickly dispatched by him. By devouring their pack leader and intimidating the remaining dire wolves with his physique and abilities, he hopes to scatter them. However, the rest of the pack yields to him rather than flee. Rimuru orders the goblins and dire wolves to cooperate going forward to strengthen and secure their village. He quickly realizes that giving the goblins names is impractical, so he gives the elder goblin the name Rigger and his son the name Rigard. While he's at it, he also decides to give the village goblins names. As soon as he has finished with the goblins, Rimuru starts naming the dire wolves, first giving Ranga to the son of the pack leader he killed. As soon as the Great Sage gives him the name and warns him that his magical reserves are getting low, his body shuts down, putting him to sleep for 3 days. Rimuru discovers that naming monsters is difficult because it takes a lot of magical energy to do so. When Rimuru awakens 3 days later, he is horrified to see how the goblins and dire wolves have changed. Meanwhile, Rigard explains that everything is because of the names he gave them. Observing that all the dire wolves evolved even though he only named Ranga, the monster evolved after being given a name. He is asked by Rimuru how that came about. Ranga informs him that the dire wolves have come together as a pack and have evolved into Tempest wolves because of Rimuru. In his speech, Rimuru lays out the guidelines for the village and reveals his ideas for its future growth. Sumi notices that the goblins lack the knowledge necessary to construct homes or sew clothing. He is told by Rigor that there are Dorgonian dwarves who are adept at doing this sort of thing and that they have previously traded with them. After learning that, Rimuru sends Ranga to speak with dwarven craftsmen while bringing a small group of goblins and wolves. Gopta, a goblin who has previously traded in Dworgen, is one of the goblins to accompany him on the journey, so Rimuru used him as a guide, and soon the two of them were in the Dworgen kingdom. Rimuru heads for the city gates, leaving everyone but Gobbled behind because she doesn't want to start any trouble. There is a very long waiting line at the gates. They are harassed by some adventurers as they wait to enter. Rimuru decides to teach the adventurers a lesson after they start fighting by changing into a tempest wolf and roaring menacingly. The others in line, in addition to the bad adventurers, are taken care of by the roar. When city guards arrive, they throw Rimuru and Gopta into the dungeon. Gopta chooses to sleep to pass the time. To Kaido, the captain of the guards, Rimuru explains who he is. While they are conversing, a different guard summons the captain, informing him that a dangerous monster has been discovered in the mines, seriously hurting several workers. Given what appears to be a chance, Rimuru tells Kaido to use a barrel of healing potions he had brought for trading. Kaido chooses to accept Rimuru's gift, and when he comes back, he takes 3 dwarves with him to show his appreciation for the magic potions that saved them. After setting him free, Kaido decides to make amends by introducing Rimuru to his older brother Kaijin, a capable blacksmith. Rimuru encounters the 3 dwarves that his potion previously saved at Kaiju's weapon shop, and it turns out that they all work here. Rimuru explains that his village needs skilled craftspeople, but Kaijin responds that he is currently overloaded at work. Minister Vesta gave him an impossible delivery order to complete, but he will still make every effort to complete it. Rimuru examines the one sword that Kaijin had already made after realizing that the swords he is supposed to forge are made of the same stuff that he was eating back in the cave. Using the resources already present in the body of the Great Sage, it would be simple to produce the entire shipment of swords all at once. As soon as the delivery is finished, Kaijin and the 3 brothers go to a bar with seductive elven hostesses to celebrate their achievements before helping Rimuru. One of the elven girls reads Rimuru's future peeking during the party, revealing the person he is destined to be with. In the crystal ball, a pretty girl who appears to be Japanese is visible. Vesta enters the scene and starts a fight before they can continue discussing the girl. Kaijin becomes furious over this and knocks Vesta out, requesting permission from Rimuru to assist in his village. Rimuru gladly agrees, but before they can leave, they are detained for assaulting the minister and brought before the king for a trial. As a result, they are not allowed to leave. It becomes immediately clear that Vesta had rigged the trial to make it seem like Kaijin was to blame for everything. In response, King Gazel speaks up and asks Kaijin if he is willing to return to his service as he had been in the past. Kaijin declines, and Miad, Dord, and Garm are sentenced to years of forced labor in the mines, letting him know that he had already taken an oath to his new master, whom he had found. Gazel accepts his response and changes the decision to exile everyone. As they are being led from the courtroom, Gazel speaks to Vesta and informs her that due to her inability to be truthful and his actions, he had to cut off contact with the slime who had given them a healing potion that was more effective than anything they could make. Vesta is let go by Gazel from his position as the minister. Before leaving the city with Mid, Dord, and Garm, Kaijin bids his younger brother farewell. One of Gazel's spies is instructed to keep an eye on Rimuru by Gazel, because that slime is a true monster and makes him think of Veldora,